Hello everyone. Today we will introduce a new code injection attack named Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm Toshinori, a research scientist with NTT Security Holdings. I love reverse engineering, CTF, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as you can see from my outfits. And he is Yuto, a senior researcher and my colleague. His research interests include memory analysis and operating system security. Okay, you may know malware sometimes uses code injection. It is a technique to inject malicious code into a victim process to hide the behavior behind it. However, it is still easy to detect because it has to call some suspicious APIs such as executable memory allocation, payload writing, and execution. So what can we do to evade the detection? What if we don't need allocation or execution? Actually, it's possible if we inject bytecode. That is the technique we introduced today, a brand new attack technique. Its name is Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu is a technique for an injector that chokes an interpreter to force it execute malicious bytecode, like this picture. So this is outline of today's presentation. Here, Yuto will talk about the introduction and the overview of Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, then, I'm Yuto Otsuki. Let me start with an introduction of existing code injection techniques. Malware usually tries to conceal their malicious behavior on the target host. Code injection is one of the techniques to achieve that. It blends malicious behavior into benign one by forcing a benign process to execute malicious code. Typically, malware opens a benign process, allocates a memory, writes a malicious code, and start a thread to execute that. Now we are going to look at a few examples. First of all, process following. In this technique, malware firstly creates a suspended process from a benign executable file. Before starting its execution, malware unmaps the executable image from the victim process. At this time, the process has no executable image. After that, malware injects its malicious image as a replacement of the original image. Then, malware adjusts the instruction pointer of the process to the entry point of the malicious image. Finally, the process is resumed and then starts executing the malicious image. In appearance, the process seems to be executing the benign file because all information of the process, such as process name or image path, comes from the benign file. However, because the contents of the process has been replaced, so what is actually executed is the injected code. So that is process following. Nowadays, process following is well known, and some variants have emerged. Process doppelganging and process herpaderping are examples of those. The details of these techniques are different, but both of them can make a file on the disk remain benign, while the in-memory image remain modified and malicious, like a process following. Process following and its variants aim to replace native code, benign to malicious. Our Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu is similar to them, but its target is different. Now we move on to our new techniques, Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu is a novel technique, a code injection attack. it injects malicious bytecode into an interpreter process executing a benign script. Here is a comparison with existing attack techniques and our Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. The injection target of the existing techniques is arbitrary process. On the other hand, Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu is target is interpreter. The existing techniques inject native code and blends malicious behavior into benign executable behavior. Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu injects bytecode and compromise in benign script behavior. This is the overview of Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. There are two phases, preparation phase and attack phase. In the preparation phase, the left side in this figure, attackers firstly prepare a malicious script and a target script. The malicious script will be injected into an interpreter process. The target script is a benign script, which will be replaced with the malicious one by injection. The attacker executes these scripts once in their own environment, and then they extract bytecode of these scripts from the interpreter processes. Note that the target bytecode is used as a signature for memory scan. We will explain later about that. The extracted bytecode is embedded into an injector. In the attack phase, the right side in this figure, the attacker sends the injector into a victim environment somehow. The injector runs an interpreter with a target script. Right after that, the interpreter loads benign bytecode into its memory space. The injector scans the memory by signature and locates the target bytecode. Then the injector replaces the bytecode with malicious one. And finally, the interpreter starts executing malicious bytecode. That is the overview of Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. So now you know the concept, but you may have a question: such attack is truly realistic or not? For realizing that Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu, the problem is it requires the internal specification of the target interpreters. In order to extract and replace bytecode, we first need to understand their structures and locations in memory. To make things worse, some interpreters like VBScript don't even have their source code publicly available. So does that mean we need to manually reverse engineer each and every interpreter binary? So we can we maybe automate that process? Before answering that question, we are going to dive into the internals of interpreters. Here, this is the typical design overview of interpreters. First, the input script is converted into bytecode, which will be stored into bytecode cache. Bytecode is just a sequence of instructions. Then, this is executed by a virtual machine one by one. The virtual machine has a program counter called VPC and also stack and registers. In addition, it has something called symbol table, which stores variables in the script. An interpreter has the interpretation function to execute bytecode. Now, the execution cycle goes like this. First, the fetcher fetches the instruction pointed by the VPC. After decoding and dispatching, the instruction handlers perform the instruction while accessing the stack and registers and symbol tables. And then the fetcher fetches the next instruction and so on. Bytecode cache is usually implemented as an array where each item is a pair of an opcode and operands. For example, this load const instruction has an operand, which is an instruction which is an index for a symbol table. It is not an immediate value. Other data access instructions also require one or more indexes for symbol tables. In other words, bytecode depends on symbol tables for data access. And an interpreter creates multiple symbol tables for global variable and local variable, and so on. A symbol table manages values we use in script. Typically, it composes of differences between multiple structures and arrays. Let me explain two key data structures around symbol tables. One of them manages references to symbol tables. We call it management structures. The other is value object, which contains actual data used in script execution, such as integers, strings, and so on. A symbol table has references to multiple value objects. So these data structures and the symbol tables are linked by pointer difference chains. In the chains, a management structure is the start node, and value objects are the end nodes. Typically, the interpretation function's arguments include multiple pointers to such management structures. Each of the management structures has symbol tables for each scope. In this example, interp is the interpretation function. Script context info represents the global context and includes a symbol table for global variable. Func info represents the current executing function and includes local variable. So the execution context of the interpretation function is helpful for finding symbol tables and related data structures. That is about the basics of interpreter implementation. As explained, these data structures are not so simple. It is not easy to extract them because bytecode and symbol tables must be kept consistency between them. And interpreters share this overall design, but actually, the concrete implementation details differ across interpreters. It is hard to reveal such implementations and data structures by manual reverse engineering. And for now, no existing analysis technique can extract such information effectively. Then heavy effort is required from attackers, which means bytecode Jiu-Jitsu is not practical, maybe. Actually, no. We succeed to automate most of the reverse engineering process. We will introduce our analysis technique today. Here is our actual solution to realize bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. Our analysis techniques are based on dynamic analysis of interpreter binaries. We prepare and use testing script to reveal implementation details, especially to reveal reference relationship and data structures. Our analysis technique track pointer differences and analyze memory accesses. Okay, then, warming up is over. We will dive into the technical details of bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. I will pass it over to Toshinori.
Okay, thank you, Yuto. So to reveal the structural information of bytecode and symbol tables, we first manually write specially crafted scripts called test script and input them with an interpreter binary to our analysis technique. The technique is based on dynamic analysis, which first observes the behavior of the interpreter binary and generate memory access logs. It then analyzes the logs to extract the structural information. After that, we can extract the bytecode and symbol tables and embed them into an injector. So we will look into the overview of our analysis technique. We first find the interpretation function to determine the starting point of the memory exploration. Next, we find accessed memory regions, because interpreters generally accesses a large number of memory regions. Analyzing all of them takes much time, and we want to decrease it. So this step enables us to narrow down the memory regions to analyze. In the third step, we find a value object, which is the endpoint of the memory exploration. Now we have the interpretation function and the value objects, which are both sides of edges. We find the difference path between them. In the final step, we find the symbol table and identify its data structure. This step eventually enables us to extract symbol tables. So these steps are summarized like this. Now we will look into each step in detail. First, we find the interpretation function. So what do we need to know first to achieve it? In our technique, we detect VPC and bytecode cache first. In particular, detecting the VPC is a key. For the detection, we make 3 assumptions. First, the number of memory reads to the VPC is proportional to the number of statements in the input script. Second, a bytecode cache is always pointed by the VPC. And at last, the interpretation function has repeated memory reads to the VPC. So, as I said, we first detect the VPC by inputting scripts of various lengths and finding a memory region whose number of memory reads is proportional to them. Then we detect bytecode cache and interpretation function by using memory access patterns to the VPC. Next, we find the accessed memory regions. Now we know the interpretation function, and we can begin analysis by using the function as a starting point. So we first narrow down the memory regions to be analyzed to those referencing and accessing to symbol tables. To do so, we use pointer tainting that assigns a tag to a pointer, propagates it to the delivered data, and checks whether a memory region is delivered by looking into the existence of the tag. So we first assign a tag to the pointer to the management structure, which resides in the argument of the interpretation function. So during the execution, the tag propagates according to the pointer differences. By checking whether a memory region has tag, we can determine the region as accessed. So from here, the analysis will focus only on the accessed memory regions. So we then find a value object in a symbol table. To achieve it, we first manually create test scripts that triggers dynamic analysis and make a memory state convenient for our analysis. So our test script has 2 features. The first is that it assigns a variable in each scope. This example is for global scope. And the second is that it uses a characteristic value, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which makes the value searchable in memory. So since we input a test script with a searchable memory, searchable characteristic value, we can simply find the value, a value object, by memory search with that value. So from here, we find the reference path from the management structure to the found value objects. To prepare for it, we explain how a structure member or an array element are dereferenced in binaries. They are dereferenced by using an offset or index from the base of the structure and array. Because the base register always points to the base, we first find the memory accesses using the register and get the base address from it. So we then get the offset or index with the easy mathematics around the memory access operands. By repeating these steps, we can analyze the dereferences in structures and arrays. So using this, we analyze the dereferences paths from the management structure to the found value objects. So we can achieve this by understanding the dereferences in structures and arrays on the path, dereference chains. Next, we find a symbol table and identify its data structure. In short, we find out a symbol table manages multiple value objects in an array or a structure, especially a linked list. In case of an array, a symbol table is the one that exists immediately before the value object. In that case, only its length varies depending on the number of contained value objects. So the structure of the references does not vary, and it is easy to identify. So, and our technique can also handle the case of linked list, but we don't show it here due to time constraints. Using the obtained structure information, we can extract bytecode and symbol tables. Now we know the structure information, so it's time to extract bytecode and symbol tables, preparation phase. First, we execute a malicious script that has the behavior you want to inject. Next, suspend the execution at the beginning of the interpretation function. After that, we explore the structures and arrays from the beginning of the management structure based on the obtained structure information to find the bytecode and symbol tables in the delivered chain. Finally, we read the found memory regions to extract them. Here, we will show you how to do bytecode Jiu-Jitsu in the victim's environment. Now we have extracted bytecode and symbol tables, so we are at the attack phase, and it's time to inject them. So the final step is to know your victim, to inject them to the proper position. In recent operating systems, memory space layout is generally randomized, so the location in memory where we inject them differs from execution to execution. However, it is difficult to know the internal memory state of the interpreter in the victim's environment. If an injector uses a debugger, it is too suspicious and easily detected. So to inject without being detected, we identify the state of state by memory read only without using debuggers. To achieve it, we first suspend the execution of the target interpreter and enumerate all stacks and heap memories. We then detect a management structure by backtracking from a value object. To do so, we find a value object by searching a specific value in memory. In this slide, 1, 2, 3, 4 is a specific value. So we then calculate its base address by subtracting the offset from the found value. Once the base address is calculated, we find the pointer to it with memory search. And by repeating the step of calculating the base address and finding the pointer to it, we can backtrack the structures comprising the reference chain. And finally, we can find the management structure, which is the root of the structures. After finding the management structures, we traverse memory region in the forward direction and write bytecode and symbol tables overrides the VPC to point to the bytecode entry and resumes execution. So to introduce more detailed features and capabilities of Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu, we conducted some experiments on it. In the experiment, we used Python and Lua because they are widely used and open source, which we can easily verify the result using source code. We also used VB-script because attackers frequently use it for executing their malicious script, and it has both open source and proprietary versions. First, we find that our technique could properly work. Our analysis technique could detect and analyze the VPC, bytecode cache, interpretation function, symbol tables, and value objects. In addition, we could extract bytecode and symbol tables, and our injector could inject them into the proper position. Finally, we verified that the injection could lead to the injected arbitrary code execution. So we also evaluated the detectability of Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. We built two types of injectors. The first is the one that injects infinite loop for evaluating the detectability of just the injection behavior. The second is that injects downloader malware for evaluating the detectability of behavior, including the injected bytecode. So we evaluated whether each security tools below can detect them. We used 75 antivirus products on VirusTotal, Kemp Sandbox, System Monitoring Tool, and Volatility with HoloFind, Image Malfind, and PT Malfind plugins, which focuses on detecting existing code injection attacks. So this table shows the detection result. Many antivirus products could not detect Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. Our injector is determined as suspicious only by 8 heuristic engines. Since Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu requires only memory reads and writes, it is difficult for EDRs and sandboxes to detect it. On the other hand, it could detect malicious behavior of injected bytecode based on what they do. And existing memory forensics tools that detect code injection targets native code by focusing on memory executable permission. Therefore, detecting Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu, which injects bytecode that does not require executable permission, is out of their scope, and therefore could not detect it. So it's time to show you our demo. Okay, in this demo of Bytecode Jiu-Jitsu, we aim to inject the bytecode and symbol tables of this malicious.vbs on desktop, which simply executes notepad.exe. And our injection target is target.vbs on the desktop, which simply prints a greeting message, "Hello, Black Hat folks," and sleeps for a while. Then we execute the injector. Once it is executed, it creates a process of cscript.exe with the input of target.vbs and suspends its threads. Here, we attach a debugger to check whether the bytecode and symbol tables will really be replaced by injection. By checking the command line, we can see that the interpreter is truly executing the target.vbs on the desktop. For this demo, we put a predetermined breakpoint in the interpretation function. Using the debugger, we first show the bytecode before the replacement. So give me a minute to navigate there. Okay, this is actually a bytecode. We take a print screen to check this again later for comparison. Yes, this is the byte sequence of the bytecode before the execution. I mean, this is benign one. And this is the symbol table for constant strings. You can see that it includes the greeting message of hello black hat folks. Okay, let's continue. So the injector then looks for a characteristic variable, the greeting message this time, and discovers the management structure by backtracking from it. Using this, it then finds the location of bytecode and symbol tables and injects the malicious ones into there. Finally, it overrides the VPC and resumes the execution to force the interpreter execute the injected bytecode. So if we check the injected symbol table, we can see that there is no longer greeting message and now has notepad.exe that did not exist before. Of course, this happened due to the injection. In addition, the bytecode is also replaced. So let's compare the ones before and after the injection. If you carefully look into the byte sequence, you can find that they are not identical due to the injection. Okay, now we go back to debugger and let's see what happens once we proceed the execution after the injection. So now executing each instruction of the injected bytecode. And eventually, notepad.exe is popping up, although the input script does not have such functionality. With System Informer, we can see that the parent of the notepad.exe process is indeed cscript.exe. So we show the bytecode Jiu-Jitsu can obtain the control of the interpreter by the injection, and it's done without being detected by security products. So from here, we consider the countermeasures against bytecode Jiu-Jitsu from the both aspect of existing security tools and possible future research. So we first discuss the possible countermeasures using existing security tools. First, antivirus may be possible to determine an injector as suspicious based on APIs used for bytecode Jiu-Jitsu, such as memory reads and writes. Second, EDRs and sandboxes can detect memory writes to an interpreter process and determine whether the written data is bytecode with signatures or something like that. Next, memory forensic tools should analyze the injector binary in memory or detect unnatural parent-child relationships around the interpreter. Finally, operating systems should protect an interpreter process and restrict memory writes to it. Meanwhile, manual analysis is a bit difficult because we have no bytecode specification, debuggers, or disassemblers. So we then discuss possible future research. The first is bytecode identification, which determines whether unknown byte sequence is bytecode. Since writing bytecode to an interpreter process from the remote process is rarely seen in legitimate behavior, it is a strong signal of bytecode Jiu-Jitsu. So this identification applies to security products that dynamically observe the behavior, such as EDRs and sandboxes. The second is malicious bytecode identification, which additionally determines whether bytecode is malicious or not. This identification even applies to security products that statically analyze artifacts, such as memory forensic tools. And to support manual analysis, we have to analyze instruction set of bytecode and build debuggers and disassemblers. So these may be achieved by learning features of known bytecode, but it is still future research issues. Finally, we give takeaways. Carlos Machado, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, said, "The ground is my ocean. I'm the shark, and most people don't even know how to swim." And I say, interpreters are my ocean. I'm the shark, and most people don't even know how to swim. Now, I think security researchers should learn how to swim in the interpreter ocean. So utilizing bytecode for code injection has not been much discussed before. But at now, our reverse engineering techniques reveal it to be a realistic threat. So you should be more careful about bytecode as injected payload from now on. In addition, security researchers should discuss further countermeasures, and we wish our POC will help them. And our POC will be soon available here. Stay tuned. So thank you for the listening. Here are our contacts. If you have any question, please send a message or come to the lab room after this.
Yeah, I have a question. First of all, very nice talk, and then it was amazing. So
Thank you.
Thank you. And then I have one question about your POC for the evaluation. How about the PowerShell? So because PowerShell is everywhere, and that is like the most target for the attackers, and how do you think your technique can be applicable to the PowerShell?
Sorry,
PowerShell.
PowerShell.
Yeah.
That's a very nice question. Actually, PowerShell is not a binary, but .NET based that is executed on .NET framework. So it is executed on interpreter, and the PowerShell interpreter is executed on the virtual machine of PowerShell. Virtual machine of .NET framework. So how to say it is nested virtual machine.
So my understanding of your response is that PowerShell translate the script into the .NET bytecode, and that is not the interpreter-based virtual machine.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so nested. So it's a bit difficult to apply our technique, and we need some research on it. Yeah.
Hey, this is Anthony. I want to ask, I'm thankful for the talk. I want to ask whether you have tested CrowdStrike.
CrowdStrike?
Yeah.
Actually, no.
Oh, you should find them and test with them.
Not tested on.
Because the CrowdStrike is lots of people using it. So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I will do it. I will definitely do it. Sorry. So any questions? Okay. So our session is over, and if you have any questions, please come to the lab room after this. And as you can see, we have an outfit. And you can easily search us by looking at my outfit. Yeah. So thank you.